No! I can't do this!
Please, wait, listen to me!
Get away! I don't want this!
I still remember the moment my life broke. I stood outside a crowded restaurant with a small velvet box in my shaking hands. Inside it was the ring I had saved 2 years to buy for my fiancée, Emily Brooks. I whispered, "Emily, can we talk for a second?" She looked at the box and sighed. "Daniel, why are you acting so serious?" I opened the box slowly. "Because I love you," I said. I wanted this moment to be special. Sophie Lang, Emily's best friend, laughed beside her. "Oh my God, is this actually happening?" Emily stared at the ring. "Daniel, this is the ring." My chest tightened. "Yes," I said quietly. "I saved for it. 2 years." Sophie folded her arms. 2 years for that. Emily shook her head slowly. "Daniel, you can't be serious." I felt the eyes of strangers around us. "What do you mean?" I asked. She suddenly laughed. "You think this cheap ring is enough for me?" My throat went dry. "Emily, it's not about the price. It's about us." Sophie smirked. "Us? Daniel, look around. Do you see where you are?" Emily grabbed the ring from the box. "My parents expect more from my future husband." I whispered, "Emily, please don't do this." She held the ring between 2 fingers. "You really thought I would marry someone like you?" My heart pounded. Someone like me. Sophie leaned closer and said, "A guy with a small salary and big dreams." Emily smiled coldly. "Exactly." Then she flicked her wrist. The ring flew from her hand and landed in the rain-filled street. I stared in shock. "Emily." Rain splashed around the ring as cars passed nearby. "Pick it up if it matters that much," Sophie said with a laugh. My coworker Ryan Miller stepped forward. "Hey, that was unnecessary." Emily looked at him. "And you are?" "Ryan. His friend." Sophie rolled her eyes. "Stay out of this." Ryan turned to me. "Daniel, say something." I forced a breath. "Emily, why are you doing this in front of everyone?" She crossed her arms. "Because I'm tired of pretending." My voice shook. "Pretending what?" "Pretending you're enough," she said. The crowd murmured around us. Someone whispered, "That's harsh." Ryan muttered, "Unbelievable." I looked at Emily. 5 years, Emily. Did they mean nothing? She hesitated for a second. Then she said, "They meant convenience." My chest felt hollow. "So that's it?" I asked. "Yes," she replied flatly. "I was never meant to marry someone like you, Daniel." Ryan stepped closer to me. "Let's go, man." I didn't move. "Emily," I said softly, "did you ever believe in me?" She looked away. Sophie answered instead. "Why would she?" Laughter came from someone in the crowd. I felt heat in my face. Ryan whispered, "You don't deserve this." I stared at the street where the ring had disappeared into dirty rainwater. My voice dropped. "I guess I finally understand." Emily shrugged. "Good. Then this conversation is over." She turned away. Sophie followed her. Ryan touched my shoulder. "Daniel, come on." I whispered, "Give me a minute." He nodded. The crowd slowly dispersed. Rain kept falling. I stepped toward the curb and searched the water with my eyes. Ryan called from behind me, "Forget the ring." I shook my head. "It's not about the ring." My reflection trembled in the puddle. Ryan asked, "Then what is it about?" I answered slowly, "It's about realizing the woman I loved never believed in me at all." The rain grew heavier. Ryan said quietly, "One day she'll regret this." I watched the water carry the last sparkle of the ring down the street. "Maybe," I said. My chest ached, but something colder settled inside me. But tonight I learned something important. Ryan asked, "What?" I wiped rain from my face. The person I trusted most in the world never truly saw my worth. I stood there in the rain and whispered, "Maybe that's my fault." Ryan frowned. "How?" I kept trying to prove myself to someone who had already judged me. He said, "You loved her." I nodded. "Yeah. I did. A long silence passed between us. Finally Ryan said, "What will you do now?" I looked down the street. "Walk away." Ryan asked, "Just like that?" I took a slow breath. "Not just like that." I clenched my fists. "But I'm done begging anyone to see my value." Ryan nodded slowly. "Good." I turned from the street and walked into the rain. I walked through the cold rain without knowing where I was going. My shoes were soaked, and my phone kept vibrating in my pocket. Ryan kept calling. I finally pulled the phone out and read his message. "Daniel, are you okay?" Another message appeared. "Man, answer me." I typed back slowly. "I'm fine." He replied instantly. "No, you're not. Where are you?" I looked around the empty street. "I don't know." Ryan called again. This time I answered. "Daniel," he said immediately, "where did you go?" "Just walking." "You shouldn't be alone right now." "I need to be," I said quietly. Ryan sighed. What she did was cruel. I said nothing. "Listen," he continued, "that wasn't about you." "It felt like it was," I replied. "She embarrassed you on purpose." "I know." Ryan paused. "Do you want me to come get you?" "No," I said. "Just, give me tonight." After a moment he answered, "All right, but call me if things get worse." "I will." I ended the call and kept walking through the rain. Every step felt heavy. 5 years of memories kept playing in my mind. The trips we took. The promises we made. The plans for a future that now meant nothing. My phone suddenly rang again. This time the screen showed Emily's name. I stared at it for a long moment before answering. "Hello." Her voice sounded calm, almost bored. "Daniel, don't make this dramatic." I laughed quietly. "Dramatic?" "You know what I mean," she said. "You should understand we want different things." "Different things?" I repeated. "Yes." I stopped walking. "Emily, you threw my ring into the street." "You're focusing on the wrong part." "What's the right part then?" She sighed like I was wasting her time. "The right part is that our relationship wasn't working." "For you," I said. "For both of us." I shook my head. 5 years, Emily." "Yes, 5 years," she replied. "Did those years mean anything to you?" "They meant experience." Her words felt cold. "Experience." I repeated. "Daniel, don't twist my words." "I'm not twisting anything." She went quiet for a second. Then she said the sentence that crushed me. "My parents expect more from my future husband." I laughed bitterly. "Your parents?" "Yes." "So this is about money?" "It's about stability." "I have a job." "You have potential," she corrected. "Not success." I leaned against a wall. "Emily, were you ever planning to marry me?" She hesitated. That silence answered everything. I asked slowly, "Is there someone else?" She didn't respond right away. "Emily." "Yes," she finally said. My chest tightened. "How long?" "A few months." "A few months." I repeated. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" She sounded defensive now. "It just happened." "What's his name?" "Victor." "Victor who?" "Victor Hayes." The name meant nothing to me. "Who is he?" "A businessman." I closed my eyes. "You mean a rich businessman?" She didn't deny it. "Daniel, don't make him the villain." "I'm not," I replied. "I'm trying to understand when you stopped loving me." "I didn't stop loving you," she said. "Then why did you replace me?" "Because love isn't enough." Those words echoed in my mind. I asked quietly, "Does he know about me?" "Yes." "And he's okay with it?" "He understands my situation." I laughed again, but it sounded hollow. "So he's the better option." "You're putting it too simply." "No," I said slowly. "I think I'm finally seeing it clearly." Emily sounded impatient. "Daniel, you're a good person." That sounds like the beginning of a goodbye. It is. Rain kept falling around me. I asked one last question. Did you ever believe in me? She didn't answer immediately. Then she said, belief doesn't pay bills. My chest felt empty. All right, I said. She seemed surprised. That's it? Yes. You're not going to argue? What's the point? She paused. I thought you'd fight harder. For someone who already left. Another silence. Then she said softly, I hope you understand someday. I already do. What do you mean? I understand that I was the only one fighting for us. Her voice grew quiet. Daniel. I interrupted her. I hope Victor gives you everything you want. That's not fair. Neither was tonight. The rain felt colder now. Take care of yourself, she said. I looked at the empty street. You too. Then I ended the call. For a long moment I just stood there. My phone buzzed again. Ryan had sent another message. Did she call you? I replied. Yes. What did she say? I typed slowly. It's over. He answered immediately. I'm coming to get you. No. Daniel. I need to handle this myself. Ryan responded after a pause. All right. But remember something. What? You deserve better than someone who laughs at your dreams. I stared at the message. For the first time that night, I felt something shift inside me. Maybe he was right. Maybe tonight wasn't just the end of something. Maybe it was the beginning of understanding my own worth. I put my phone back in my pocket and looked up at the dark sky. The rain kept falling. And in that quiet moment, I made a silent promise to myself. I would never beg anyone to stay in my life again. Not ever. The weeks after the breakup felt heavy and endless. I sat at my desk at work staring at my computer screen, but my mind was somewhere else. Ryan walked over and tapped my desk. Daniel. I blinked. Yeah. You've been staring at that spreadsheet for 10 minutes. I'm working on it. He looked at the screen and frowned. You haven't typed anything. I rubbed my eyes. I'll finish it. Ryan pulled a chair next to me. Man, this isn't like you. I'm fine. You keep saying that, he replied, but you look exhausted. I forced a small smile. Breakups happen. Not like that one. I stayed quiet. Ryan leaned back and lowered his voice. Have you heard anything from Emily? No. Good, he said quickly. You don't need that drama. I shrugged. It's not that simple. Ryan studied my face. Do you still love her? I hesitated. Yeah, I admitted. He sighed. That's going to take time. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. A bank notification. Ryan noticed my expression. What happened? My savings are almost gone. How? I spent most of it on the apartment Emily wanted. The furniture too. Ryan shook his head slowly. You built a life that only one person believed in. I let out a tired breath. Apparently. Later that evening, I sat alone in my apartment staring at the empty living room. Every corner reminded me of Emily. The couch we picked together. The pictures we never hung. A knock suddenly came from the door. I opened it and saw my sister, Olivia. She stepped inside and looked around. Wow, she said quietly. What? You look broken. I laughed weakly. I am. She hugged me without saying anything. After a moment she pulled away. Ryan called me. Of course he did. He was worried. I walked to the couch and sat down. Olivia joined me. Tell me everything, she said. There's not much to tell. Daniel. She left. I know that part. For someone richer. Olivia sighed. Money again. I looked down at my hands. I thought love was enough. She shook her head gently. Love is powerful, but it doesn't fix someone else's values. I asked quietly, was I stupid? No. Then why does it feel like I was? Because you trusted the wrong person. Silence filled the room for a moment. Then Olivia said something softly. Do you remember when we were kids and you built that wooden bike ramp? I looked up. Yeah. You spent days on it. And then it collapsed, I said. You rebuilt it the next day. That was different. Why? Because this isn't wood and nails. Olivia looked straight at me. Then rebuild yourself. Those words stayed in the air. I stared at her. Rebuild myself. Yes. How? Start by standing up again. The next morning at work, my inbox showed a message from my boss. Daniel, come to my office. Ryan leaned over my desk. That doesn't sound good. I know. He whispered, maybe he just wants an update. Or maybe he wants to fire me. Ryan gave my shoulder a quick pat. You'll survive either way. I walked to Mr. Harrison Cole's office and knocked. Come in. I stepped inside. Sit down, Daniel. I sat across from his desk. He looked at me carefully. You seem distracted lately. I'm sorry, sir. Ryan mentioned you're going through a breakup. I nodded slowly. Yes. Mr. Cole folded his hands. I'm not interested in your personal drama. That's fair. But I am interested in your performance. I understand. You've been slipping. I know. I waited for the inevitable sentence. Instead, he said something unexpected. I see potential in you, Daniel. I blinked. You do? Yes. Then why call me here? Because right now you're wasting it. His words hit harder than I expected. I'm trying. No, he said calmly. You're surviving. I looked down. There's a difference. Mr. Cole continued. Do you know why I hired you 2 years ago? I assumed you needed an analyst. He shook his head. I hired you because you were hungry. I still am. Then prove it. I met his eyes. How? Stop letting one person control the direction of your life. I stayed silent. He leaned forward slightly. Pain can destroy you, he said, or it can sharpen you. So what do you want me to do? Work. That's it. That's everything. He slid a file across the desk. This project needs a new lead. I stared at the folder. You're giving this to me. I'm giving you a chance. What if I fail? Mr. Cole shrugged. Then at least you failed trying. I picked up the file slowly. Thank you. He nodded once. Don't thank me yet. I stood up. As I reached the door, he spoke again. Daniel. Yes. Prove that she was wrong about you. I left his office with the file in my hands and something new forming inside me. For the first time in weeks, my thoughts weren't about Emily. They were about what I could become. Ryan spotted me returning. Well, he asked. Still employed. He grinned. Good start. I placed the file on my desk. Ryan raised an eyebrow. What's that? A second chance. He smiled wider. Then don't waste it. I opened the folder and looked at the first page. For the first time since the breakup, I felt my focus returning. The pain was still there, but it no longer felt like the end of my story. It felt like the beginning of a new chapter. And this time, I was determined to write it myself. The next year changed me more than I expected. Most mornings Ryan found me already at my desk. One day he dropped his bag and stared at me. Daniel, what time did you get here? 6. 6 in the morning. Yes. He shook his head slowly. You used to arrive 5 minutes before the meeting. I used to waste time. Ryan leaned against my desk. You've been staying late too. I have things to learn. Like what? Finance models. Project management. Market analysis. Ryan laughed softly. You're becoming a completely different person. Maybe that's not a bad thing. He looked at me carefully. Are you doing this for yourself, or to prove Emily wrong? I paused before answering. At first it was about her. And now? Now it's about me. Ryan nodded slowly. That's the answer I wanted to hear. Later that afternoon, Mr. Cole called me into his office again. "Daniel, sit down." I took the chair. "How is the project going?" he asked. "Better than I expected." "Show me." I handed him a report. He read quietly for a minute. Then he looked up. "You wrote this?" "Yes." "This is solid work." "Thank you." He leaned back in his chair. "I told you there was potential." "I remember. But potential means nothing without discipline." "I understand that now." Mr. Cole closed the file. "Keep this pace and you'll move far in this company." I nodded. "I plan to." That evening Ryan and I walked out of the office together. He stretched his arms. "I swear you're turning into a machine." "I'm still human." "Barely." I smiled slightly. Ryan glanced at me. "Do you still think about her?" "Sometimes." "And?" "It hurts less." "That's progress." We stepped outside into the cool evening air. Ryan asked, "What are you doing tonight?" "Studying." "Of course you are." "Why?" "A new consultant joined today," he said. "The team is meeting her tomorrow." "Okay." "Try not to scare her with your serious face." The next morning I walked into the conference room early. A woman was already sitting at the table reviewing documents. She looked up and smiled politely. "Good morning." "Morning," I replied. "You must be Daniel." "Yes." "I'm Clara Bennett." I sat across from her. "You joined the consulting team." "That's right." Ryan walked in behind me. "Ah, you two already met." Clara nodded. "Daniel seems very focused." Ryan laughed. "That's the polite way to say intense." I shrugged. "Work matters." Clara tilted her head slightly. "Why does it matter so much to you?" Ryan smirked. "That's a long story." Clara looked back at me. "I like long stories." I answered simply. "I'm rebuilding my life." Her expression softened. "That sounds serious." "It is." The meeting started soon after. Clara spoke confidently about project strategy. Her ideas were clear and thoughtful. After the meeting, she stopped me in the hallway. "Daniel, can I ask something?" "Sure." "Why do you push yourself so hard?" I crossed my arms. "Because I wasted time before." "Doing what?" "Trying to be enough for someone." Clara studied my face. "That sounds painful." It was. She nodded slowly. "I understand that feeling." "You do?" "Yes." "How?" "I once built my life around someone else's expectations too. And it didn't end well." I gave a small laugh. "Seems like we have something in common." Clara smiled slightly. "Maybe." A few days later we worked late on the same project. Ryan walked past our desks. "You two still here?" "Yes," Clara replied. Ryan looked at me. "Daniel, it's almost 9. "I know." He pointed at Clara. "Don't let him drag you into his work addiction." Clara chuckled. "I'm here by choice." Ryan raised his hands. "All right. Just don't stay all night." After he left, Clara leaned back in her chair. "Ryan worries about you." "He's a good friend." "You must have helped him a lot too." "Actually, he helped me." "How?" "He reminded me that my life didn't end with one breakup." Clara closed her notebook. "Can I ask something personal?" "Go ahead." "What do you actually want from life, Daniel?" The question surprised me. I never thought about it like that. Most people don't. I always focused on what someone else wanted. And now I'm trying to figure out my own direction. Clara nodded thoughtfully. "That's a brave step." "Why brave?" "Because it's easier to follow someone else's path." I leaned back in my chair. "What about you?" "What about me?" "What do you want from life?" She smiled faintly. "Peace." That's simple. Simple things are often the hardest to find. I looked at the reports on my desk. For me, it's respect. From others. From myself. Clara seemed to like that answer. You're closer to that than you think. I hope so. She stood and gathered her papers. You've already changed a lot. How can you tell? Because people who are still broken don't work this hard to grow. I watched her walk toward the door. Before leaving, she said something softly. Don't forget to live while you're rebuilding. The office felt quiet after she left. I thought about her question again. What do you actually want from life? No one had asked me that before. For the first time in months, something inside me shifted. The pain from my past was still there, but it was no longer the center of my life. Instead, I felt something new forming inside my chest. Hope. 2 years passed faster than I expected. One evening, Mr. Cole stopped by my office. Daniel. Yes, sir. Are you free tonight? For work. For a business event. What kind of event? Investors, executives, partners. I nodded. I can attend. He studied my face. You've earned your promotion. Thank you. You should start getting used to rooms like that. Ryan leaned into my doorway. Did someone say promotion? Mr. Cole smiled faintly. I did. Ryan grinned at me. Lead manager, huh? That's the title, I said. Ryan clapped his hands. Then tonight we celebrate. Mr. Cole shook his head. Tonight we network. Ryan laughed. Right. Business first. Later that evening, I stood inside a large ballroom filled with quiet music and conversations. Ryan walked beside me holding a drink. You look uncomfortable, he whispered. I'm observing. You're overthinking. Mr. Cole approached us. Daniel, I want to introduce you to some partners later. Of course. Ryan nudged my shoulder. Relax. You belong here. Before I could answer, someone said my name behind me. Daniel. I froze. That voice felt familiar. I slowly turned around. Emily stood a few steps away. She wore a glamorous dress, but her expression looked uncertain. Emily, I said calmly. Her eyes widened slightly. I didn't expect to see you here. Ryan glanced between us. Well, this is awkward, he muttered. Emily looked at him. Ryan, right? Yeah. Before anyone else spoke, a tall man stepped forward. Emily, who is this? She hesitated. This is Daniel. The man extended his hand toward me. Victor Hayes. I shook it briefly. Nice to meet you. Victor smiled with quiet confidence. Oh, you're the ex she told me about. Ryan's eyebrows lifted. I stayed calm. Yes. Victor glanced at Emily. You never mentioned he worked in this industry. Emily looked slightly uncomfortable. I didn't know he still did. I answered simply. I moved up. Victor chuckled softly. Good for you. Ryan leaned closer to me. You okay? He whispered. I'm fine. Emily looked at me again. You look different. In what way? More confident. Ryan smirked. He runs half the department now. Victor raised an eyebrow. Is that true? Lead manager, I said. Victor nodded slowly. Impressive. Emily looked down for a moment. I didn't know. Mr. Cole walked over at that moment. Daniel, I was looking for you. He noticed Emily and Victor. Oh, introductions. Yes, I replied. Mr. Cole, this is Victor Hayes. Victor shook his hand. Pleasure. And this is Emily. Mr. Cole nodded politely. Nice to meet you both. Victor asked casually, You work with Daniel? I'm his boss, Mr. Cole answered. Ryan whispered near my ear. That shut him up fast. Victor cleared his throat. Well, Daniel seems to be doing well. Mr. Cole smiled. He's one of our strongest managers. Emily looked at me again. Really? Yes, Mr. Cole said. His work speaks for itself. Victor checked his watch. We should greet the investors. Emily nodded slowly. Before leaving, she looked back at me. It was surprising to see you again. Life is full of surprises, I said. Victor placed a hand lightly on her back. Come on. They walked away. Ryan exhaled loudly. Wow. What? That was intense. Mr. Cole looked at me. You handled that well. I just stayed calm. Ryan laughed. Calm. I thought Victor was going to start measuring bank accounts. Mr. Cole shook his head slightly. Focus on the event. Ryan raised his glass. Right. A while later I stepped onto the balcony for some air. The city lights stretched across the night. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Daniel. I turned. Emily stood near the door. Can we talk? She asked. Sure. She walked closer. I didn't expect to see you tonight. You already said that. I mean it. What surprised you? You. In what way? You're successful. I gave a small smile. People change. Emily looked at the skyline. You always said you would build something big. I remember. I guess I didn't believe you. Her honesty surprised me. I know. She sighed quietly. Victor talks about business all the time. Does he? Yes. And? He mentioned your company before. I leaned against the railing. That happens in this industry. Emily looked back at me. Daniel, can I ask something? What? Are you happy? The question caught me off guard. I'm at peace. That's different. Yes. She studied my face carefully. You don't look angry. I'm not. Not even a little. No. Emily looked down at her hands. I expected you to hate me. Hate requires energy. And you don't have that anymore. I used it to build my life. Silence stretched between us. Then she said softly, You seem stronger. Pain can do that. She nodded slowly. I'm glad things worked out for you. Thank you. Emily glanced toward the ballroom. Victor thinks confidence equals success. What do you think? She hesitated. I think belief matters more. I watched her expression. For the first time, I noticed something different in her eyes. Uncertainty. Regret. She spoke again, quieter now. You really changed, Daniel. Yes. How? I stopped trying to prove my worth to people who couldn't see it. Emily swallowed slowly. I see it now. I didn't respond. She gave a faint smile. Well, I should go back inside. All right. She turned toward the door, then paused. Daniel. Yes. I'm glad you didn't stay the man I left. I looked back at the city lights. Me too. Emily walked back into the ballroom. A few seconds later, Ryan stepped onto the balcony. Did she apologize? No. Will she? Maybe. Ryan leaned on the railing beside me. You handled that like a boss. I chuckled. I'm just older. Ryan looked through the glass doors. Funny thing though. What? The powerful guy tonight wasn't Victor. I raised an eyebrow. Who was it? Ryan smiled. You. I glanced back inside the ballroom. Emily stood beside Victor again, but her eyes briefly met mine across the room. And in that moment I saw something I had never seen before. Regret. A week after the business event, my phone buzzed during lunch. Ryan glanced at the screen. Who keeps texting you? I turned the phone over. No one important. Ryan leaned closer. That looked like Emily's name. I sighed. It is. And you didn't answer. No. Ryan smirked. Good. My phone buzzed again. Ryan raised an eyebrow. She's persistent. I checked the message. Can we talk? Ryan chuckled. Classic. I put the phone back on the table. I'm not replying. Ryan nodded. Smart move. That evening I stayed late at the office finishing reports. Clara walked past my desk and stopped. You're still here? Yes. She looked at the stack of files. Do you ever rest? Sometimes. She smiled faintly. That sounds like a lie. My phone buzzed again. Clara glanced at it. Important. I hesitated. An old problem. She didn't ask further. Take care of yourself, she said quietly before leaving. The next morning Ryan walked into my office with an excited expression. Daniel, have you heard the news? What news? Victor Hayes. What about him? Ryan pulled a chair close. Rumors are spreading. Rumors about what? His company. I leaned forward slightly. Explain. Ryan lowered his voice. Victor's company is drowning in debt. I frowned. Are you sure? That's what people in finance are saying. Rumors can be wrong. Ryan shrugged. Maybe. My phone buzzed again. Ryan pointed at it. Let me guess. Emily. Of course. I opened the message. Daniel, please talk to me. Ryan laughed softly. Timing is interesting. I ignored the message again. Later that afternoon Mr. Cole stopped by my office. Daniel. Yes, sir. Have you heard about Victor Hayes? Ryan looked at me and whispered, Told you. I answered calmly. I heard rumors. Mr. Cole nodded. His company is under serious pressure. Financial. Yes. I folded my hands. That's unfortunate. Mr. Cole studied my face. You know him personally? Not really. Good. Ryan leaned back. Business world moves fast. Mr. Cole agreed. Very fast. After he left, Ryan turned to me. Emily chose the wrong ship. I stayed quiet. Ryan continued. Imagine leaving someone for a rich guy who isn't actually rich. Life has irony, I said. That night my phone rang again. I stared at the screen. Emily. After a moment I answered. Hello. Her voice sounded tense. Daniel. Yes. Thank you for answering. What do you want to talk about? She hesitated. Have you heard anything about Victor's company? Yes. So the rumors are everywhere now. Seems that way. She sighed quietly. I didn't know about the financial problems. I remained silent. Daniel, believe me. I'm not accusing you. But you're thinking it. I'm thinking about my own life. Emily spoke again. Victor said everything will recover. Maybe it will. You don't sound convinced. I don't know his situation. Another pause. Then she asked softly, Do you hate me? No. Not even a little. No. Her voice lowered. That almost hurts more. I didn't respond. She continued. I thought I made the right decision. Did you? I'm not sure anymore. Silence stretched between us. Finally she said, I should go. Take care. After the call ended, I sat quietly for a moment. The next day Clara joined me in the break room. You look thoughtful, she said. Just thinking. About work. About people. She poured coffee. That usually means someone from your past. You're observant. Clara sat across from me. Do you want to talk about it? Emily called. Clara nodded slowly. I see. She's having problems with the man she chose. Clara studied my expression. And how does that make you feel? I expected to feel satisfied. But you don't. No. What do you feel instead? Detached. She smiled gently. That's progress. Why? Because anger keeps people trapped in the past. I considered her words. Maybe you're right. Clara continued quietly. You deserve someone who respects you. Her words echoed in my mind. Respect, I repeated. Yes. That sounds simple. It isn't. Why not? Because many people mistake admiration for respect. I leaned back in my chair. Emily admired wealth. And now? Now she's learning something else. Clara nodded. Sometimes life teaches lessons the hard way. I looked at my coffee. For a long time I thought I wasn't good enough. And now? Now I realize something different. What? The relationship itself was toxic. Clara's expression softened. That realization can change everything. It already has. She stood up slowly. Good. Why good? Because when you see the truth clearly, you stop blaming yourself. I watched her walk toward the door. Before leaving, she turned back. Daniel. Yes. Don't go backward just because someone else's life is falling apart. I smiled slightly. I won't. Later that evening, Ryan knocked on my office door. So what? Did Emily convince you to meet her? No. Ryan grinned. Good. Why? Because the man who stood in the rain 2 years ago would have said yes immediately. I thought about that moment. You're right. Ryan pointed at me. But this version of Daniel. Yes. He knows his worth. I leaned back in my chair. For the first time, I truly believed that was true. It was late evening when I finally finished reviewing the last report on my desk. The office was almost empty. Most of the lights in the hallway were already off. I stood up and stretched my shoulders. Just as I reached for my coat, I heard a voice behind me. Daniel. I turned slowly. Emily stood near the doorway. For a moment, neither of us spoke. She looked different from the confident woman I remembered. Her posture was tense, and her eyes seemed tired. How did you get in? I asked. The receptionist said you were still working. I nodded once. What do you want? She stepped closer. Can we talk? We are already talking. Emily looked down at her hands. Daniel. I made a mistake. I stayed silent. She took a breath. I know you probably don't want to hear anything from me. That's true. Her voice shook slightly, but I still need to say it. I leaned against my desk. Go ahead. Emily looked up at me. I thought money meant happiness. I didn't respond. She continued. I thought security meant choosing the person with the most success. I folded my arms. And I was wrong. Her honesty didn't surprise me as much as I expected. She looked around my office quietly. You've done well for yourself. I worked for it. I know. Another silence filled the room. Emily spoke again. Victor's company is collapsing. I heard. He's under investigation now. That sounds serious. It is. She rubbed her hands together nervously. I didn't know how bad things were. That's unfortunate. Emily looked straight at me. I should have married you. The words hung in the air. For a moment I simply watched her. 2 years ago those words would have meant everything to me. Now they felt strangely distant. Emily waited for a reaction. Say something, she whispered. I answered calmly. You didn't lose me because of money. Her eyes widened slightly. You lost me because you never believed in me. She opened her mouth but no words came out. For the first time since I met her, Emily had no answer. Finally she spoke again. I believed in you a little. A little isn't enough. I was scared. Of what? Of building a future that might fail. I nodded slowly. So you chose someone who looked successful? Yes. And now? Now I realize success isn't always real. I walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. Emily spoke quietly behind me. I regret what I said that night. The ring incident. Yes. You laughed at me. I know. You humiliated me in front of strangers. Her voice trembled. I hate myself for that moment. I turned back toward her. Why? Because it showed the worst version of me. I studied her expression. And what version are you now? A person who understands what she lost. I shook my head gently. You didn't lose something you valued. That's not true. It is. Emily stepped closer. I value you now. That's easy to say after everything fell apart. She looked hurt. I deserve that. Yes, you do. Another long silence passed. Then she asked softly, Is there someone else? I thought of Clara. Yes. Emily's shoulders dropped slightly. Is she good to you? Yes. Does she believe in you? She does. Emily looked down again. That's what I should have done. Maybe. She looked up slowly. Do you ever think about what could have happened if I had chosen differently? No. Her voice grew quiet. Not even once. No. Emily seemed to struggle with that answer. I think about it every day. I didn't respond. She wiped a tear from her eye. I thought I was making a smart decision. Many people think that. But I was just chasing status. Yes. And I hurt the person who truly cared about me. I remained silent. Emily took a deep breath. Daniel, I'm sorry. I believe you. That's it. What else should there be? I thought maybe. Maybe what? Maybe you would forgive me and we could start again. I shook my head slowly. That chapter ended a long time ago. Her voice cracked. Is there really no chance? No. Not even a small one. No. Emily closed her eyes for a moment. I guess this is the consequence. Yes. For not believing in you. For choosing pride over loyalty. She nodded slowly. You're right. I walked toward the door and opened it. It's getting late. She looked at the exit. I understand. Before leaving, she turned back one last time. You became the man I once hoped you would be. I answered quietly. I always had the potential. I know that now. But you didn't then. Emily gave a sad smile. No, I didn't. She walked toward the hallway, then paused. Daniel. Yes. I hope the woman in your life never makes the same mistake I did. I nodded once. So do I. Emily left without another word. I closed the door and stood quietly in the office. For a long moment I remembered the rain, the ring, and the humiliation. But those memories no longer controlled me. Ryan suddenly appeared at the doorway. Was that Emily? Yes. What did she want? To apologize. Ryan raised an eyebrow. And? I accepted the apology. He grinned. But you didn't take her back. No. Ryan laughed softly. That's growth. I looked at the empty hallway. For the first time, I truly understood something simple. Some apologies arrive far too late. A few weeks after Emily visited my office, the business news started exploding with headlines. Ryan rushed into my office one morning holding his phone. Daniel, have you seen this? Seen what? He placed the phone on my desk. Victor Hayes. I read the headline quickly. Financial fraud investigation. Ryan nodded. It's getting worse. I scrolled through the article. His company collapsed. Completely, Ryan said. Banks pulled their funding. I leaned back in my chair. That was fast. Ryan crossed his arms. Apparently the debts were much bigger than people thought. Looks like it. He studied my face. You don't look surprised. I'm not. Why? Businesses built on illusions don't last long. Ryan laughed quietly. That's one way to say it. Later that day, Mr. Cole called me into the conference room. Several executives were already sitting around the table. Daniel, Mr. Cole said, take a seat. I sat down. One of the directors spoke. You've probably heard about Victor Hayes. Yes. The situation created a gap in the market. Mr. Cole nodded. And we plan to fill it. I leaned forward. What's the strategy? The director slid a folder toward me. We are launching a major project next quarter. I opened the folder. Who's leading it? Mr. Cole looked directly at me. You are. For a moment I was silent. That's a large responsibility. That's why we are giving it to you, he replied. Ryan later caught me in the hallway. Well, I'm leading the new project. Ryan's eyes widened. Seriously? Yes. He slapped my shoulder. Man, that's huge. It's also risky. Ryan shrugged. Everything important is. That evening Clara and I stayed late reviewing project plans. She looked at the documents spread across the table. This is a big opportunity. I know. You seem calm about it. I've learned not to panic. Clara smiled slightly. That's growth. I hesitated before asking something. Have you heard about Victor Hayes? Yes. Everyone has. What do you think about it? She closed the folder. I think truth eventually appears. That's a diplomatic answer. She looked at me carefully. Are you waiting for me to celebrate his downfall? Maybe. Clara shook her head gently. I don't celebrate people losing everything. Even if they hurt someone. Yes. I leaned back in my chair. That's a kind perspective. It's a balanced one. She paused before continuing. But consequences are still real. I nodded slowly. That's fair. Clara looked directly at me. Does Emily still contact you? No. And how does that make you feel? Peaceful. She seemed satisfied with that answer. Good. A few days later, Ryan rushed into my office again. You won't believe this. What now? Victor Hayes has been officially charged. With fraud. Yes. I set my pen down. That confirms everything. Ryan leaned against the desk. And Emily? What about her? She disappeared from social events. I looked out the window. That lifestyle probably vanished overnight. Ryan whistled softly. From luxury parties to silence. That's how fast things change. He studied my expression again. You still look calm. I am. No revenge speech. No. Ryan grinned. You're a better man than I am. Later that evening, Clara joined me on the office balcony. The city lights stretched across the skyline. She held 2 cups of coffee and handed me one. Long day, she said. Very long. She leaned against the railing. I heard your project was approved. Yes. You deserve that opportunity. Thank you. Clara took a small sip of coffee. Can I ask something honest? Of course. When you heard Victor's company collapsed, what did you feel? I thought for a moment before answering. Relief. Why relief? Because it proved something. What? That Emily didn't leave me for real success. Clara nodded slowly. That matters to you. It did. And now? Now it matters less. She looked at me with a calm expression. You didn't win because they lost. I looked at her. What do you mean? You won because you refused to stay broken. Her words stayed in my mind. I never thought about it that way. But it's true. I leaned on the railing. For a long time I thought success would feel like revenge. And it doesn't. What does it feel like? Freedom. Clara smiled softly. That's the best outcome. I looked out at the city lights again. 2 years ago I stood in the rain believing my life was over. Now everything looked different. My career was stronger. My confidence was real. And my past no longer controlled me. Clara spoke again quietly. You built something valuable. I tried. No, she said gently. You succeeded. I took another sip of coffee. For the first time in a long time, I realized something clearly. My success was never about proving Emily wrong. It was about proving to myself that I could rise after falling. And that realization felt more powerful than any revenge. Karma had arrived quietly. But my victory had nothing to do with their downfall. It had everything to do with growth. Rain started falling just as Clara and I stepped out of the office building. She looked up at the sky and smiled. Looks like we might need an umbrella. I forgot mine, I said. Same here. We started walking slowly down the street. Clara glanced at me. You've been quiet tonight. Just thinking. About work. No. Then about what? I pointed ahead. That restaurant. She followed my gaze. This place means something to you. Yes. What happened here? I took a slow breath. This is where my old life ended. Clara looked at the entrance carefully. The night with Emily. Yes. The ring. I nodded. She stepped closer beside me. Do you want to go somewhere else? No. Are you sure? Yes. Rain continued falling around us. Clara asked gently, Are you thinking about the past? I nodded. For a moment. And how does it feel? Strange. Strange how? I expected pain. But I don't feel it. Clara studied my face. What do you feel instead? Peace. She seemed relieved to hear that. That's a good sign. I looked toward the street where the rainwater flowed along the curb. That's where the ring fell. Clara followed my eyes. You never tried to find it? No. Why not? At the time I wanted to. And now? Now I'm glad I didn't. She raised an eyebrow. Why? Because that ring represented something that wasn't real. Clara nodded slowly. You mean the relationship? Yes. I leaned against the railing near the restaurant entrance. For a long time I thought losing that ring meant losing everything. And now you think differently? Yes. Clara asked quietly, What changed your mind? Time. And people. People. Yes. She looked curious. Who helped you the most? Ryan reminded me to stand up again. That sounds like him. My sister reminded me that broken things can be rebuilt. Clara smiled softly. She sounds wise. She is. And anyone else. I looked at her. You. Clara looked slightly surprised. Me? Yes. What did I do? You asked questions no one else asked. Like what? Like what I actually wanted from life. She considered that. I remember that conversation. It changed my thinking. Clara crossed her arms lightly. So the ring doesn't matter anymore. I smiled. That ring was never the real loss. She squeezed my hand gently. The real loss would have been never becoming the person you are now. Her words felt simple but powerful. I agree. We stood quietly for a moment watching the rain. Clara spoke again. Do you ever wonder where Emily is now? Sometimes. And I hope she learned something. That's kind of you. It's honest. Clara tilted her head slightly. Do you forgive her? Yes. Completely. Yes. Why? Because carrying anger would only trap me in the past. She smiled softly. That's a mature answer. I had time to think about it. Clara laughed quietly. You did more than think. What do you mean? You transformed. I looked back at the restaurant. 2 years ago I stood in that same place feeling humiliated and broken. Now the memory felt distant. Clara spoke again. Does this place still hurt you? No. Not at all. No. Why not? Because the worst moment of my life forced me to grow. She nodded slowly. That's an important realization. I watched the rain flowing down the street again. That night felt like the end of everything. And now I see it differently. How? It was the beginning of something better. Clara smiled warmly. I'm glad you see it that way. I took a deep breath and looked around the quiet street. For the first time since that night, the memory no longer carried bitterness. Instead it felt like a turning point. Clara spoke softly. Sometimes painful moments shape our future. Yes. And sometimes they push us toward the life we were meant to live. I nodded slowly. In that moment I understood something important. Sometimes betrayal is not just an ending. Sometimes it is the beginning of transformation. Several months passed after the night Clara and I stood outside that restaurant. My life looked completely different now. One afternoon Ryan leaned against my office doorway and crossed his arms. You look suspiciously calm these days. I glanced up from my desk. That's a problem. It's unusual. Why? Because you used to stress about everything. I learned to breathe. Ryan laughed. That's growth. He noticed the small box sitting near my laptop. What's that? Nothing. Ryan narrowed his eyes. That looks like a ring box. I tried to hide a smile. Maybe. He pointed at me. You're proposing. Tonight. Ryan clapped his hands. Finally. Don't make it dramatic. I'm already excited, he said. Clara deserves it. She does. Later that evening, Clara and I walked through a quiet park. The sky was clear and the air felt calm. Clara looked around and smiled. I like this place. I know. How? You mentioned it once. She looked surprised. You remembered that? Yes. We walked along the path for a few minutes. Clara glanced at me. You seem nervous. Maybe a little. That's new. I usually hide it well. She laughed softly. Well, tonight you're not hiding it. I stopped walking. Clara. She looked at me curiously. What's wrong? Nothing. Then why did we stop? I took a slow breath and pulled the small box from my pocket. Her eyes widened slightly. Daniel. I opened the box. Clara, will you build a future with me? For a moment she said nothing. Then she smiled softly. Yes. The word felt simple but powerful. I slipped the ring onto her finger carefully. Clara looked at it and then back at me. This feels peaceful. That's exactly what I wanted. She squeezed my hand. You're not shaking like last time. I laughed quietly. You know about that story? Yes. Ryan told me everything. Of course he did. Clara looked around the quiet park. This moment is different. Very different. There's no crowd. No humiliation. No rain. Just us. Yes. Clara leaned closer to me. I'm proud of the man you became. I had help. Maybe, she said gently, but the choice to grow was yours. We sat on a bench beneath a tall tree. Clara looked at the ring again. It's beautiful. I wanted it to represent something real. It does. I watched the calm evening around us. For a moment I remembered the night Emily threw my first ring away. Clara noticed my expression. You're thinking again. Just remembering. Does it still hurt? No. What does it feel like? Perspective. She smiled slightly. That's a wise answer. I leaned back and looked at the sky. Emily was right about one thing. Clara raised an eyebrow. Oh. Yes. What was she right about? I smiled faintly. I was never good enough. Clara frowned slightly. That sounds wrong. Not exactly. Explain. I was never good enough for her world. And that's okay. Clara squeezed my hand. Why is it okay? Because I was meant for something better. She leaned her head against my shoulder. I'm glad you realized that. Me too. The park grew quieter as the evening continued. For the first time in my life, I felt completely at peace. Not because I had proven anyone wrong, but because I had finally built the life I deserved.